Hello, my dear friends. I'm Dr. Richardson, and at 85 years old, I've spent over 6 decades practicing medicine. Today, I need to share something that might shock you. After turning 60, I made a decision that changed my life completely. I started avoiding certain people, and it might be the most important health decision I ever made. You might be thinking, Doctor, that sounds cruel. How can you avoid people? But let me tell you something. The people you surround yourself with after 60 will literally determine whether you live to 90 or struggle to see 70. The science is crystal clear, and I've seen it firsthand with thousands of patients. I remember Margaret, a vibrant 62-year-old patient of mine. She came to me with chronic fatigue, high blood pressure, and depression. After months of treatment with little improvement, I discovered the real culprit, her toxic sister, who called daily with complaints and drama. Within 6 months of limiting that contact, Margaret's health transformed completely. This isn't just one story, it's a pattern I've observed for decades. Toxic relationships after 60 don't just hurt your feelings, they literally shorten your lifespan. They spike your cortisol, weaken your immune system, and accelerate aging. But here's the good news. You have the power to change this. Now, before you think I'm telling you to become a hermit, let me be clear. I'm not talking about avoiding all people. I'm talking about being selective, protective, and intentional about who gets access to your precious time and energy in your golden years. If you're over 60 or approaching 60, this video could add years to your life. I'm going to reveal the exact types of people that are silently stealing your health and, more importantly, how to protect yourself while maintaining meaningful relationships. Please watch this entire video. Your future depends on it. What I'm about to share with you comes from a place of deep concern and genuine love. In my 85 years on this earth, with over 60 years dedicated to medicine, I've witnessed something that breaks my heart daily. I see wonderful seniors, people like you, allowing toxic individuals to steal their health, happiness, and ultimately their years. The human body after 60 is remarkably resilient, but it's also incredibly sensitive to chronic stress. When we were younger, we could bounce back from toxic encounters, drama, and negative people. Our bodies had the reserves. But after 60, every toxic interaction is like a small poison that accumulates in our system. I want you to understand something crucial. This isn't about being antisocial or mean. This is about medical necessity. The research from Harvard's study of adult development, which followed subjects for over 80 years, shows that the quality of our relationships is the single strongest predictor of happiness and health in our later years. Not money, not career success, not even genetics, relationships. But here's what they don't tell you in those studies. Not all relationships are created equal. Some relationships heal, energize, and extend your life. Others drain, stress, and literally shorten your lifespan. After 60, you simply cannot afford to invest in relationships that harm your health. I've treated thousands of seniors over the decades, and I can predict with startling accuracy which patients will thrive and which will decline based on one factor alone: the people they surround themselves with. The patients who limit toxic relationships and cultivate positive ones consistently show better immune function, lower inflammation markers, reduced cardiovascular disease, and significantly better mental health outcomes. This isn't just observation, it's measurable science. Toxic relationships increase cortisol production by up to 400% in seniors. Chronic cortisol elevation leads to weakened immunity, increased inflammation, accelerated brain aging, and higher rates of depression and anxiety. In simple terms, toxic people are literally aging you faster. But I have good news. Once you identify and limit these toxic influences, your body begins to heal remarkably quickly. I've seen 70-year-olds regain vitality they hadn't felt in decades, simply by changing their social environment. The transformation can be profound and rapid. Over the next sections, I'm going to reveal the 5 specific types of people you must limit or avoid entirely after 60. I'll explain exactly why they're dangerous to your health, how to identify them, and most importantly, how to protect yourself while maintaining your kind heart and social connections. This information could literally add years to your life. Please stay with me through this entire video. Your health, your happiness, and your longevity depend on understanding these crucial truths about relationships. After 60, the first type of person you must learn to avoid after 60 is what I call the energy vampire. These individuals have perfected the art of draining your life force without you even realizing it's happening. And after 60, when your energy reserves are more precious than ever, These people can be absolutely devastating to your health. Let me tell you about Robert, a 68-year-old patient who came to me complaining of chronic exhaustion. His blood work was perfect, his heart was strong, but he felt depleted every single day. After extensive questioning, I discovered he had a neighbor, Frank, who would corner him for hours with endless complaints about everything. The weather, the government, his ungrateful children, his aches and pains. Robert, being a kind man, felt obligated to listen. But here's what was happening medically. Every interaction with Frank was triggering Robert's stress response. His cortisol levels were chronically elevated. His sleep quality deteriorated, and his immune system was in constant overdrive. Trying to cope with the psychological stress, energy vampires come in several forms, and you need to recognize them immediately. The first type is the chronic complainer. This person turns every conversation into a litany of grievances. They never seek solutions. They just want to dump their negativity onto you. They complain about their health, their family, their finances, the world, but they refuse to take any action to improve their situation. The second type is the drama addict. This person lives for crisis and chaos. If their life is going well, they'll create problems or insert themselves into other people's drama. They call you with emergencies that aren't really emergencies, always needing to be rescued, always needing you to fix their latest catastrophe. The third type is the one-upper. Nothing you've experienced can compare to what they've been through. If you mention a health concern, theirs is worse. If you share good news, they immediately shift the conversation to their own achievements. They cannot celebrate your successes or empathize with your struggles, because everything must revolve around them. The fourth type is the boundary bulldozer. These people have no respect for your time, energy, or personal space. They show up unannounced, call at inappropriate hours, and demand your attention whenever they want it. They guilt trip you when you try to set limits, making you feel selfish for protecting your own well-being. Here's the critical health impact you need to understand. When you interact with energy vampires, your body produces stress hormones as if you're facing a physical threat. Your heart rate increases, your blood pressure rises, your digestive system slows down, and your immune function decreases. This is fine occasionally, but when it happens regularly, it creates a state of chronic inflammation that accelerates aging and increases disease risk. Research from the University of Michigan found that seniors who regularly interact with negative, demanding people have a 30% higher risk of cardiovascular disease and a 25% higher risk of depression. The study followed over 2,000 seniors for 15 years, and the results were undeniable. Toxic relationships kill. I remember Mary, a 75-year-old patient whose adult daughter called her multiple times daily. With complaints about her job, her marriage, her children, Mary felt obligated to listen and offer advice. But the daughter never took the advice and would become angry if Mary suggested she was too busy to talk. Mary developed chronic headaches, insomnia, and her blood pressure became difficult to control. When I suggested Mary limit these calls to once a week and set a 15-minute time limit, Mary was horrified. "But she's my daughter," she protested. I explained that loving someone doesn't mean allowing them to damage your health. In fact, enabling their negative patterns by being their emotional dumping ground isn't helping them either. It took months, but Mary finally set boundaries. Her daughter was initially angry, but eventually adjusted. Mary's headaches disappeared, she slept better, and her blood pressure stabilized. More importantly, when they did talk, their conversations became more meaningful because Mary wasn't emotionally depleted. The key to dealing with energy vampires is recognizing that you cannot change them. You can only protect yourself. You must learn to limit your exposure, set clear boundaries, and refuse to be their emotional dumping ground. This isn't cruel, it's survival. Remember, after 60, your energy is finite and precious. You deserve to spend it on people and activities that bring joy, peace, and fulfillment to your life. Energy vampires will always try to make you feel guilty for protecting yourself. But your health and happiness must come first. In the next section, I'll reveal the second type of toxic person you must avoid, the chronic complainer, and I'll give you specific strategies for protecting yourself without damaging important relationships. Stay with me. This information is crucial for your well-being. The second type of person that poses a serious threat to your health after 60 is the chronic complainer, often coupled with what I call the perpetual victim mentality. These individuals have turned negativity into an art form, and their toxic worldview can literally poison your golden years if you're not careful. Let me share the story of Eleanor, a vibrant 71-year-old who joined a local senior center, hoping to make friends and stay socially active. She met Dorothy, who seemed friendly at first, but Eleanor soon discovered that every conversation with Dorothy followed the same pattern. Endless complaints about everything and everyone, combined with a complete refusal to take any responsibility for her own circumstances. Dorothy complained about her arthritis, but refused to do the exercises her doctor recommended. She complained about loneliness, but criticized every person who tried to befriend her. She complained about her finances, but spent money frivolously and refused to budget. Most dangerously, she had convinced herself that she was a victim of everyone and everything around her. Eleanor, being naturally empathetic, found herself drawn into these conversations, offering advice and support. But here's what was happening to Eleanor's health. She was absorbing Dorothy's negative energy like a sponge. Within 6 months, Eleanor's own outlook began to shift. She started feeling pessimistic about her future, developed anxiety about her health, and began withdrawing from other activities she previously enjoyed. The medical impact of chronic exposure to complainers is profound and measurable. Studies from UCLA's Center for Healthy Aging show that seniors who regularly interact with chronically negative people experience increased levels of inflammatory markers in their blood. Chronic inflammation is linked to virtually every age-related disease: heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, cancer, and arthritis. But it goes deeper than inflammation. Chronic complainers and perpetual victims create what psychologists call emotional contagion. Their negative emotions literally spread to others through neurons in our brains. When you spend time with someone who sees the world as threatening, unfair, and hopeless, your brain begins to adopt similar neural patterns. I've identified 5 distinct subtypes of chronic complainers that you must learn to recognize and avoid. The health hypochondriac constantly talks about their ailments, real or imagined, but never follows medical advice. They seem to enjoy their sick role and resist getting better because illness gives them attention and excuses for their limitations. The financial victim always claims to be broke or struggling financially, but somehow finds money for things they want while complaining they can't afford necessities. They often try to guilt others into paying for things or lending money they never repay. The family martyr constantly complains about how ungrateful their children or grandchildren are, how they've sacrificed everything for their family, and how nobody appreciates them. They use guilt and manipulation to control family relationships. The social critic finds fault with everyone and everything in their community. The neighbors are too noisy. The store clerks are rude. The government is corrupt. The weather is terrible. Nothing is ever acceptable to them, and they seem to take pleasure in finding problems. The historical victim lives in the past, constantly rehashing old grievances and injustices. They cannot move forward because they're emotionally stuck in painful experiences from decades ago. And they want everyone around them to remain stuck there too. Here's what's particularly insidious about these people. They often disguise their toxicity as needing support or friendship. They make you feel needed and important because you're listening to their problems. But they're not seeking solutions or genuine connection. They're seeking an audience for their negativity. The health impact on you is severe. Regular exposure to chronic complainers increases your risk of depression by 40%, according to research from the Mayo Clinic's Healthy Aging Program. It also disrupts sleep patterns, weakens immune function, and can trigger anxiety disorders. Even in people who've never experienced anxiety before, I treated a 66-year-old man named William, who developed panic attacks for the first time in his life after spending months listening to his brother's constant complaints about his divorce. William's brother would call daily, sometimes for hours, rehashing the same grievances over and over. William felt obligated to listen because family is family, but his nervous system couldn't handle the chronic stress. When William finally limited these calls to once a week for 20 minutes maximum, his panic attacks stopped completely within a month. His sleep improved, his appetite returned, and he felt like himself again. The key to protecting yourself from chronic complainers is understanding that you cannot fix them, save them, or change their perspective. They have chosen negativity as their default mode, and they will resist any attempt to shift toward positivity or solutions. Your job is not to cure them. It's to protect your own mental and physical health. You must learn to recognize the signs early. Constant complaints without solutions, victim mentality, resistance to positive suggestions, and the emotional drain you feel after spending time with them. Trust your body's signals. If you feel exhausted, anxious, or depressed after spending time with someone, that's your nervous system warning you about toxicity. Remember, your peace of mind after 60 is not just a luxury. It's a medical necessity. Chronic stress and negativity can literally shorten your lifespan and diminish the quality of your remaining years. You have every right to protect yourself from people who threaten your well-being. In our next section, I'll reveal the third type of toxic person, the manipulator, and show you exactly how to spot their tactics before they can damage your health and happiness. This is crucial information that could save you years of unnecessary suffering. The third type of person you absolutely must avoid after 60 is perhaps the most dangerous of all, the manipulator. These individuals have perfected the art of emotional manipulation, and they can destroy your peace of mind, your health, and even your financial security if you're not vigilant. What makes them particularly dangerous is that they often disguise their manipulation as love, concern, or family obligation. Let me tell you about Catherine, a 73-year-old patient whose case still haunts me. Catherine was a widow with a comfortable retirement, savings, living independently and happily. Her nephew James, whom she'd helped raise after his parents divorced, began visiting more frequently. At first, Catherine was delighted by the attention, but James had lost his job and was facing foreclosure. Instead of being honest about his situation, he began a subtle campaign of manipulation. He'd comment on how lonely Catherine seemed, how dangerous it was for her to live alone, how worried the family was about her. He'd bring up stories of elderly people being scammed or having accidents, making Catherine feel vulnerable and afraid. Gradually, James convinced Catherine that she needed him to move in and help, take care of her. Once he was living in her home, the manipulation escalated. He took control of her finances for her own protection, isolated her from friends who might question his motives, and made her completely dependent on him emotionally and practically. Within 2 years, Catherine had developed severe anxiety, depression, and her physical health deteriorated rapidly. When she finally came to me, she was a shadow of her former self. It took months of therapy and legal intervention to extract her from this toxic situation, and sadly, much of her savings was gone forever. Manipulators after 60 target seniors, specifically because they understand our vulnerabilities. They know we may be dealing with health concerns, loneliness, financial worries, or fears about aging. They exploit these natural concerns to gain control over us. The health manipulator uses your medical concerns against you. They constantly remind you of your age, your limitations, and your vulnerability. They make you feel incapable of making your own decisions about your health, your living situation, or your daily activities. They position themselves as your savior, while secretly undermining your confidence and independence. The family manipulator uses guilt and obligation to control you. They remind you constantly of what you owe them, how they've sacrificed for you, how much they love you, how disappointed or hurt they'll be if you don't comply with their wishes. They make you feel selfish for having boundaries or for prioritizing your own needs. The financial manipulator targets your money and resources. They may present themselves as helping you manage your finances, but they're actually positioning themselves to benefit from your assets. They create financial emergencies, guilt you into loans or gifts, or gradually take control of your accounts and decision-making. The social manipulator isolates you from other relationships. They subtly criticize your friends, create conflicts with other family members, or make you feel guilty for spending time with anyone but them. They want to be your only source of social connection, so they can control your reality completely. The medical impact of manipulation is severe and often underestimated. Chronic manipulation creates a state of learned helplessness that literally changes your brain chemistry. Your cortisol levels remain chronically elevated. Your dopamine and serotonin production decreases, and your nervous system stays in a constant state of hypervigilance. Research from Johns Hopkins Medical School found that seniors in manipulative relationships have a 50% higher risk of developing dementia. The chronic stress of manipulation actually accelerates brain aging and cognitive decline. The constant anxiety and self-doubt physically damage the brain regions responsible for memory and executive function. I remember Thomas, a 69-year-old patient whose daughter had convinced him he was developing dementia. She pointed out every small memory lapse, every moment of confusion, every normal sign of aging as evidence that he was losing his mind. She used this concern to gradually take control of his life. making all his decisions and treating him like a child. When Thomas came to me for a cognitive assessment, I found his mental function was completely normal for his age, but the chronic gaslighting had created severe anxiety and depression that was actually impacting his memory and concentration. Once he understood what was happening and set boundaries with his daughter, his cognitive function improved dramatically. The key to protecting yourself from manipulators is learning to trust your own instincts and maintain your independence. Manipulators work by making you doubt yourself, so you must stay connected to your own inner wisdom and maintain relationships with people who respect your autonomy. Here are the warning signs you must never ignore. Someone who makes you feel guilty for setting boundaries. Someone who claims to know what's best for you better than you do. Someone who isolates you from other relationships. Someone who takes control of your decisions without your explicit consent. Someone who uses your fears against you to gain compliance. The manipulation often starts small and escalates gradually. They might begin by offering to help with small tasks, then criticize how you've been handling things, then gradually take over more and more areas of your life. By the time you realize what's happening, you may feel too dependent or afraid to resist. Remember, genuine love and concern never require you to surrender your autonomy or ignore your own instincts. People who truly care about you want you to remain independent, confident, and connected to a broad network of supportive relationships. They respect your right to make your own decisions, even if they disagree with those decisions. Your independence after 60 is not just a personal preference, or it's essential for your mental and physical health. Maintaining autonomy keeps your brain active, your confidence strong, and your stress levels manageable. Never let anyone convince you that needing help occasionally means you should surrender control of your life. In our next section, I'll reveal the fourth type of toxic person, the judgment police, and show you how their constant criticism can literally weaken your immune system and accelerate aging. This information could protect you from years of unnecessary stress and health problems. The fourth and fifth types of toxic people you must avoid after 60 work together to create a perfect storm of stress and negativity in your life. The judgment police are those individuals who have appointed themselves as critics of your every choice, while drama creators actively manufacture chaos and conflict wherever they go. Together, they can turn your golden years into a period of chronic stress and declining health. Let me start with Margaret's story. At 67, Margaret was enjoying retirement, taking art classes, traveling with friends, and exploring new hobbies. But her sister-in-law, Patricia, seemed determined to find fault with every choice Margaret made. Patricia criticized Margaret's clothing choices as too young for her age, her travel plans as wasteful, her new friendships as inappropriate, and her hobbies as silly. Initially, Margaret tried to defend her choices and explain her decisions. But Patricia's constant judgment began to erode Margaret's confidence. She started second-guessing herself, avoiding activities she enjoyed, and even changing her appearance to avoid criticism. Within months, Margaret developed anxiety, stopped socializing, and fell into a depression that required medical intervention. The judgment police operate by making you feel that everything you do is wrong, inappropriate, or insufficient. The age police constantly remind you that you're too old for certain activities, clothing, relationships, or aspirations. They want to box you into a narrow definition of how seniors should behave, effectively killing your spirit and enthusiasm for life. The lifestyle police criticize your choices about where to live, how to spend your money, what to eat, how to exercise, and how to spend your time. They act as if their preferences are universal truths and make you feel foolish for choosing differently. The appearance police comment on your weight, your clothing, your hair, your makeup, or lack thereof. They make you self-conscious about your natural aging process and pressure you to conform to their standards of how you should look. The social police judge your friendships, your romantic relationships, your family interactions, and your social activities. They make you feel that your social choices are somehow wrong or inappropriate for someone your age. The medical impact of constant judgment is profound. When you're regularly criticized and made to feel inadequate, your body produces stress hormones that suppress immune function and increase inflammation. Research from Stanford Medical School shows that seniors who experience regular criticism have weakened immune responses, equivalent to someone 10-15 years older. But judgment often comes paired with drama creation, making the toxic impact even more severe. Drama creators are individuals who seem incapable of existing without conflict, crisis, and chaos. They manufacture problems where none exist, escalate minor disagreements into major conflicts, and involve innocent bystanders in their manufactured crises. I remember Harold, a 72-year-old patient, whose brother-in-law, Stephen, was a classic drama creator. Stephen would create family conflicts by spreading gossip, misrepresenting conversations, and taking sides in disputes that didn't concern him. He would call Harold with urgent family crises. That turned out to be minor misunderstandings that Stephen had blown out of proportion. Harold felt obligated to get involved, trying to mediate and solve these manufactured problems. But Stephen didn't want solutions. He wanted drama. Every resolution would be followed by a new crisis, a new conflict, a new emergency that required Harold's immediate attention and involvement. The chronic stress of constant family drama began affecting Harold's health severely. He developed high blood pressure, chronic headaches, and insomnia. His doctor prescribed medication, but the real cure came when Harold finally recognized Stephen's pattern and refused to participate in the drama anymore. Drama creators use several tactics that you must learn to recognize immediately. The crisis manufacturer always has an emergency that requires your immediate attention and involvement. These crises often involve other people and require you to take sides or get involved in conflicts that aren't your responsibility. The gossip spreader shares information about others that creates conflict and division. They often present gossip as concern or sharing information you need to know, but their real goal is to create tension and drama. The conflict escalator takes minor disagreements and turns them into major battles. They refuse to let things go, continue arguments long after others want to move on, and recruit allies to fight battles that should be personal. The victim rescuer creates scenarios where they can swoop in and save someone, often from problems they helped create. They thrive on being needed and will manufacture crises to maintain their role as the rescuer. The medical research on drama exposure is alarming. Seniors who regularly experience manufactured drama and conflict have cortisol levels similar to those dealing with major life traumas. This chronic stress response accelerates cellular aging, weakens cardiovascular health, and significantly increases the risk of cognitive decline. The combination of judgment and drama is particularly toxic because it attacks your sense of self-worth. While simultaneously keeping you in a state of chronic stress, you begin to doubt your own judgment while constantly dealing with manufactured crises, creating a perfect storm for mental and physical health decline. Here's what you must understand. Both judgment, police, and drama creators are often family members or long-term friends, which makes them particularly difficult to address. You may feel obligated to tolerate their behavior because of your history together, but your health and well-being must take priority. The solution is not to engage with their judgment or participate in their drama. When someone criticizes your choices, you don't need to defend yourself or change your behavior. A simple, "I appreciate your concern, but I'm comfortable with my decision" is sufficient. When someone tries to involve you in drama, you can say, "That sounds stressful. I hope you can work it out," and change the subject or leave. Remember, people who truly love and respect you don't constantly judge your choices or involve you in unnecessary drama. They may occasionally express concern or disagreement, but they respect your autonomy and don't make you feel bad for living your life according to your own values and preferences. Your peace of mind after 60 is precious and finite. You cannot afford to waste it on people who drain your energy. With constant judgment and manufactured drama, protecting yourself from these toxic influences isn't selfish. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All the best in the future. I'll see you in the next video.